Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another daily movie review. Spooky season continues. Oh, yeah. We're going to be continuing on with yesterday's theme of found footage movies. Oh, my goodness. Who doesn't like a good found footage horror thriller? I do. Well, when they're good. Watch a lot of them. Not a lot of these are good, right? Found footage movies are tough to get right. And when they get them right, it's awesome. It's great. It's just a fascinating thing. I've always been like into documentaries and things like that. So when one of these works and I can suspend my disbelief as the format would like you to do, it's always a pleasant surprise. So today we're going to be talking about 2015's Be My Cat, a film for Anne. One of the most misleading titles I think ever. Like you would never see that title and pick it up out of the lineup and think it is what this movie ends up being. It is directed by Romanian director Adrian Țofei, written by him as well. It stars Adrian Țofei, Sonia Tururu, Florentina Harrington, Alexandra Stroh. And that's it. That's the whole cast. And the logline plot synopsis is an aspiring Romanian filmmaker obsessed with Hollywood actress Anne Hathaway goes to shocking extremes to convince Anne to star in his upcoming film. So the conceit of the movie is basically that, but what it is it's a guy that wants to prove to Anne Hathaway, he's making like a vlog about his directing style, and he's going to film a few scenes from the movies. But really what he wants to show her is his abilities as a performer and a director and how far he's willing to go for truth, for realism, for the integrity of arts, the integrity of his story, the integrity of the notion of what a performance can be, actually being present, actually living in the moment, because he's going to create the context in which those moments are going to be real. And as you can imagine, he's a crazy person, quote unquote, and it is more real than than the actresses know going in. He's basically going to really do the things that he says he's going to do, or so it might seem. It's a very interesting movie. It's working on a lot of layers. There is definitely a thick meta layer, or not a thick meta layer, but there's a thick sense of irony, and there is a meta layer to the movie that you are watching. So it's almost like you are watching the actual director playing a character who's playing a character directing his movie. And the way they separate things is like because the character is actually making a movie as well, and then you're not sure if like the point of the movie is that he actually loves Anne Hathaway. Is he actually delusional in that sense, or is that just the movie he's trying to make? Like, is that just the character he is? Because he says like, "Oh, I go so deep into the character. I'm so deep into the character." They keep talking about that, so you're never sure like how you're supposed to take some of the things you're watching. Like you could totally watch this movie straightforward, surface level, and probably still have a good time in terms of it just being a horror thriller. I think you can, but I do think there's tons of cool little hints about really what's going on. It's kind of exposing the game a little bit, and I had a lot of fun with that. And one of the ways they do that is through the use of language. Because he's Romanian, so he speaks Romanian, but all the characters, he wants them all to speak English. As the character Adrian, he wants his actresses to speak English because this is for Anne Hathaway. She's an English actor, and he wants to make an English-speaking movie. And so every once in a while, though, there'll be like these really seems like they're very subtle, but almost very telling moments where people will speak in their native tongue. Because here's the thing, like the characters, the actresses that he ends up terrorizing, right? He's going to torture them. He's going to terrorize them. He's going to do fucked up things because he thinks he wants it to be real. I need to do this for real. I want to show you my commitment to art and the art form and the story that I want to tell. They all speak in English even when in distress. And they're not native English speakers. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a giveaway to me. Like, I don't know if that's a conceit, because it doesn't have to be that way. He's not literally making this for Anne Hathaway. It would make sense that the actresses would break character and speak in their native tongue in moments of distress. Like, who the fuck gets stressed out while speaking in a different language and yells out in the other language, right? Not their native tongue. I thought that was interesting because sometimes they do speak in their native tongue, and it's at times that they're almost like they're asking for direction, and those moments in the movie are not subtitled. So you don't know what they're saying, because I certainly do not speak that language. So so there's an interesting thing there, and then he'll be like, he'll pause and he'll be like, can you please speak in English, please? As he goes back into character. And I thought that was really interesting. It's very subtle. It's only happens a few times, like maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the movie, if memory serves me correct. But it was interesting, and it added an interesting layer. It was just a random thing that this is just my thoughts. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally full of shit, but I picked that up a little bit, and it was really kind of made me giggle a little bit. I was like, oh, cool. Like, he's actually having fun even as the creator doing this stuff. I looked up the dude because I just really enjoyed the movie. I was like, oh, what else has he done? Has he done anything else? He hasn't done much else, at least in movies. He comes from the stage. He's like he's an intense method actor. They shot this over 20 days, and he stayed in character apparently for most of the shoot. Whatever that means. I don't know how you would get that information, because it was just him with the camera and his actresses. No crew, nobody else. But he's in the middle. He's in post-production on a new movie right now called We Put the World to Sleep, which also sounds like an interesting meta film. Like, just the little description here is, while making an apocalyptic film about 2 lovers ending the world, Adrian and Duru get lost in the characters they play and embark on a secret mission to end the world for real. So, it's another one of these kind of like meta narrative movies, and I'm very excited to see that. I'm very looking forward to it. But it goes to even like the reality he was trying to create. The first time he met the actresses were what you see on film, and he has to actually ask them basically to get into character. It's interesting. As he was putting the movie together, he decided to use only first takes, which seems kind of crazy because he shot stuff for 20 days. That's what it says in the trivia anyways. That's what it says on Wikipedia. So I don't know. I mean, that would be kind of strange, but at the same time, maybe he just thought as he was making it, he's like, no, this is the authentic way to go. This is the authentic move. It's a great movie. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. I kind of went in thinking that I might like it, because I had heard some other people that I at least trust on some level mention the name before, and I'd wanted to watch it a while back. I went to watch it. It had disappeared from Amazon Prime, and now it's back on there. I just kind of saw it on a whim, and I was like, oh shit, cool, here we go. It's kind of in the found footage mood today. Yeah, great. I had to watch it on the little Amazon Show 8. It's like those little screen things that I have in my kitchen. Yeah, it was great. My son is watching. He's watching his fucking a YouTube video on our 65-inch 4K UHD HDR10 TV, and I'm watching a fucking movie on the little Show 8 in the kitchen. That is what it's like to be a parent, everybody. That is the parent life. Let me tell you what. That kind of shit happens all the time. I'm like watching a masterpiece on my $400 laptop while he's watching goddamn Godzilla videos. Which, not to say that, I don't mind Godzilla. I'm just saying, my preference is not the preference that usually gets chosen for the big TV. But anyways, yeah, really enjoyed it. I think it's worth your time, especially if you're into found footage movies, but even if you're into just interesting kind of art films. And I think the way it handles the medium is super clever and super fun. And the complete, like, do-it-yourself way that he did it is super inspiring and interesting. As, like, somebody who has aspirations to be a low-budget filmmaker, it just is one of those things that reminds me that, like, if you look at your resources and you can just find a way to put something in its proper context where those resources make sense to use, and all of the pros and cons that come along with those resources, like if you have to use a fucking handy cam or whatever, you got to make a movie where it makes sense that it's shot with a handy cam, right? Don't try to do 2001 with a high 8 a high 8 tape. Although I suppose that would actually be pretty cool. What do they call that? Sweeting it? not from Please Be Kind Rewind or whatever, Be Kind Rewind, that movie. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it on that perspective, and I really liked the main dude. He is oddly enigmatic and kind of charming in a weird way. The performances across the board were great. I really liked everybody in the movie, especially, but the main guy, Adrian, really pulls it all together, and it really does feel like this really bizarre, crazy person's diary / art piece. And he sold it. I mean, there's some of the stuff is incredibly realistic, and the subtle layers that he has in there about like the meta reality of what you're watching and how what you're getting out of it is like really interesting and really works really well. You know, I was really fascinated by that. Yeah, just some great moments, great performances, novel use of the format. Always respect that. Always have a good time with stuff like that. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, a bunch of links in that description. Facebook, Instagram, my Twitter, Dan's Twitter. Also, if you'd like to make a recommendation for one of these videos, you go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'll put it on the list. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Goodbye.